Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda. I'm Nick Park and I want to wish you a very happy St. Patrick's Day because today, 17th of March, is the day whenever we celebrate the man who really brought Christianity to Ireland so that it would take root and influence not just the life of this nation but all of Europe, because the Irish Church would become a missionary force to spread the gospel across Europe. You know, I have a very personal connection with that, in that when we first started the Solid Rock Church in Drogheda in 1994, we were meeting in a cellar that was very kindly loaned to us by some good Christian friends of mine in Drogheda. And in that cellar there was a irregularity in the floor that I discovered was an old well that had been bricked up. It had been cemented over. And that set me thinking. I went out into the street outside and there was that plaque on the wall outside. It was all dirty in St. Patrick's Well Lane, Old Abbey Lane. And there I cleaned the dirt off the plaque, and it said, in an ancient well near this spot, St. Patrick baptized the first Christian believers in Drogheda way back in the 5th century. You know, Patrick was a man who was on a mission, and that mission was to share the gospel with the Irish people. But it's important to understand why Patrick was on that mission. Now, most of us know the story of Patrick. We know about him being kidnapped. We know about him being a slave in Ireland. It's inspiring, and particularly as we today campaign against modern day slavery, and we campaign against people trafficking and all these things, that Patrick himself was a slave and was trafficked as a slave. But here's the thing. Patrick escaped from his slavery. He returned to Britain once again. And yet he came back to Ireland. And the reason why he came back to Ireland was because the Roman Empire was falling apart, and as the Roman Empire fell apart, Britain, right on the western fringes of the empire, was particularly affected, and there were barbarians were invading, and the currency lost all its value. Rampant inflation. People were reduced, instead of using the coins, they were bartering chickens and stuff like this to try and survive. And people were convinced that this was the end of the world, that Jesus was about to return. And some people just gave up and said, what's the point? We might as well just sit and wait and weep and wait for Jesus to come back again and take us to heaven, because there's nothing left for us here on earth. That's how bad things were. And Patrick remembered what Jesus had said. He said, this gospel of the kingdom will be preached to all nations. Then the end will come. And Patrick said, I want to take the gospel of the kingdom of God to a place, the ends of the earth, because I know it's to be preached in all places, but I know a place where it's not been preached yet. I know where people have never had a chance yet to hear this gospel. And you know, the Romans believed that actually Ireland was the very westernmost point of the world, because they believed the world was flat, and they believed if you sailed on past Ireland, you'd actually fall off the edge of the world. And so Patrick, quite literally in his mind, took the gospel to the ends of the earth. He took the gospel to this place way on the western boundary where it had never gone before. Because for him, the idea that it could be the end of days, that was not a reason to give up. That was a reason to see the promise of Jesus fulfilled, that the gospel would go to all nations. And I would encourage you today on this St. Patrick's Day, would you please pray and say, God, how can I be a part of you taking your gospel to peoples that don't know the gospel yet? It may be by supporting a missionary, or getting involved with some missions organization or some project or whatever it might be. But pray and ask God, Lord, would you make me part of your end time movement to reach the nations with the gospel of Jesus Christ? And I can't think of a better way to honor St. Patrick than to do that. God bless you, and join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda.